Welcome everyone, this is Asim Ali, mechanical engineer, working in this field for almost 2 decades since 2004. I worked for top listed firms worldwide, prepared the design for dozens of mega and small projects. I supervised tens of engineers from different cultures, different countries, newbies and experienced ones. That's why I feel your needs and offering you this course. Let's have a look on the topics of this course, starting with Enrich Your Eyes. Well, I meant to start this course with a non-fully technical lesson. However, I find it as a nice entry gate to the field of HVAC for the newbies who didn't experience such before. In this lesson, we'll run quickly on some of the actual images from the daily life, but relevant to our course, so the new engineers can relate and familiarize their minds to the topic. Then we'll skip this to the general basics and equipment of HVAC, where we can study the refrigeration cycle without complicated definitions, navigating through the main components of the cycle in the HVAC equipment, where they are located, and briefly explaining their functions. In this lesson also, we'll see the main equipment types and names that are widely utilized in the HVAC systems. As you can see from this start how smoothly we are being involved in the topic, which will lead to the next lesson titled as Supply and Return Concept. Here the discussion is not related to the supply and return ducts, but about the concept itself, to enable us applying this in the next lessons and in our technical field as well. Different examples are discussed with the interpretation of the changes, possibilities, and impact. We will learn also how those will be applied in the actual design. Next, quick design to a simple system. I decided to break the mode of just information feeding to an actual example and overall vision of what you will learn in the rest of the lessons. After learning the supply and return concept, it's the time to apply it on this simple example and to see how the air outlets are being distributed, how can be connected to the ducts, how the fresh air network can be routed and connected, eventually how the kitchen and toilet ventilation can be done. Now you have an overall understanding to the systems and better digesting capability to the next lessons, starting with air outlet distribution. This is crucial and in many of the cases is your starting point in the takeoff in the system design inside the buildings. How to properly distribute the air outlets with tons of options will be shown, giving you the strict ability to simply decide the new design or to change an existing design in case difficulties are found during the construction based on the actual site conditions. I'll give you this courage to make the decisions. This is what differentiates between a decision-maker engineer and another hesitated engineer who studied some courses with some instructive information, but he doesn't know what's the magnitude of each deviation from those instructions. In the actual design or construction, scarcely you will find it proper for the typical information. The reality is something different, and this is what I teach you here. As a continuation to the previous lesson, you need to know the different types of air outlets, when to use each one of them, and how to do the selections that match your project. This lesson is extended to one special type of air outlet with different criteria of sizing and selection, which is the sand trap louvers. Well, now the time for the lesson that you will utilize most during the design stages or shop drawing, which is the sizing of the ducts. Duct fittings. Preparing you to the design can't succeed without knowing your tools. Those tools here are the duct fittings. How, why, when to use each one of them. Don't worry, you don't need to be flooded with data and memorization. You will learn that for each case you can use set of different options without any concern. Again, this is what will differentiate between you as a confident decision maker engineer or another common one. Then a short lesson about the different types of ducts, the uses for each one of them, What can be used in the offices is different than what can be used in kitchen hood extract or medical facility or non-magnetic rooms in hospitals as MRI, etc. Not only the sizing, but also the step-by-step drafting on AutoCAD for the ducts and placing the diffusers. And those are quite long lessons, as I'll explain in this lesson how each piece of duct is sized and drafted with the various available options. Coming to another long lesson as well, but it's a core lesson to build the strong engineer. References and codes for duct design. You may find in some other courses some tables, figures, or numbers saying this is from this reference or that search paper. But what I'm doing here is navigating with you through the textbook and focusing on the important items, explaining how and where to use this information. This empowers you, gives you the confidence for the design, changing an existing design, technical discussions in the meetings, either with other engineers or clients, because you know now the base of your technical opinion. As well as airside equipment, learning about them, functions, components, performance curve, and even the equipment schedule, how to understand and to prepare. This levels you up as close as to the practical engineering and putting you in the language of the field or the market. Now I feel confident about you, therefore it's the time for some fine-tuning and sculpting your knowledge with some additional but important topics as dampers, VEV and CEV systems, ventilation with explanation from actual projects, in addition to psychometric and processes. And this is one of the most powerful tools for the HVAC engineer to achieve the requirements of the projects from the perspective of temperature and relative humidity, no matter the application is. Finally, navigating through some actual examples on AutoCAD, showing the current actual design and teaching how to spot some weak points, showing the means of enhancing them. You will see how the final product is presented and read. I'll keep also a native copy of those projects for your use. That's it from my side, and see you in the course. At the end, it's a risk-free with money-back guarantee.